Laundering Scandal. The process of laundering involves obfuscation of truth. Here is a recent sampling with some fresh discussion paths. The death of Brian Terry is an inconvenient discovery for the Obama administration. It exposes an ill-conceived weapons program called Fast and Furious, initiated by the Obama administration as executed through Eric Holder. The weapons were going to members of the Zeta cartel. Details of this laundering process are mapped in the Laundering Death episode available through ostricheyes.com. The Zetas want to send a message to the Saudi king by assassinating their ambassador. But why on American soil? They could do this anywhere. The location gives Democrats the ability to attack the Second Amendment as long as the clandestine Fast and Furious program disappears. But that's just conspiracy, also known as properly obfuscated truth. We could ask Hillary about the many scandals she and Bill were involved in. When she threw a tantrum and yelled at Congress, "What difference does it make?" I thought about her husband laughing at the funeral of Vincent Foster. But even Hillary cannot bury them all. She is hip deep in the Benghazi video lie. She is blaming the death of Ambassador Stevens on a video, even though his journal states otherwise. And nobody seems to care that Complex's security system was ripped from the walls. The Laundering Benghazi and Laundering Syria episodes will deal with those details. The first question I had was, why was Stevens in Benghazi? He is stationed in Tripoli. Who ordered him to Benghazi? Hillary denies giving that order, claiming before Congress that all the ambassadors are wild cowboys that go wherever they want and cannot be managed even though that is her job. I guess that extreme level of incompetence makes her overly qualified for the presidency. What was the Benghazi assignment? Obama hinted at releasing the blind sheikh. Was Stevens a convenient offering to establish a prisoner exchange with the enemy? Is this why the two SEALs were told to stand down? My latest concern is for the two Navy SEALs killed in Benghazi. Out of 32, they are the only ones to die. Was an autopsy ever done to determine who shot them? Did they see something they weren't supposed to? Maybe the temporary CIA activities center in Benghazi was being used to house prisoners for the purpose of interrogation. Droning becomes a great hiding method. Why search for people if they were droned? Was Awalaki and his son on a lunch break in Yemen? Or were they put in a truck after intensive interrogation in Benghazi and told to run for their lives? Of course, we know how those Americans died. When does murder become treason? Obama engages the U.S. in an illegal war with Libya to oust Gaddafi without any plan to secure Libyan weapons. Who was the big beneficiary of that mistake? The Laundering Gulf Oil episode answers that question. Is it treasonous to give weapons to the enemy? Russia accused the U.S. of arming the Syrian rebels. Now Obama is openly discussing it, even though they are affiliated with Al-Qaeda. Why are we fighting them in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan while arming them in Syria? Obama's defense is incompetence. He and his cabinet members quote the late John Banner often. "I know nothing, I see nothing." Holder and Lerner are guilty of lying, or deceiving Congress, and guilty of lying to judges who granted them illegal warrants. They are both guilty of election fraud and treason, but their bagman Snowden carries that offshore. The media began discussing treason with respect to Obama and his administration. Snowden is a convenient distraction to keep the media happy. But that's just another conspiracy to think the media is covering for Obama. Don't look at their spouses being elevated to high offices within government. That's just coincidence, and would have no financial, political, or professional bearing on their reporting or actions. Be concerned when political interviews yield news outlets negotiating leverage with advertisers. But that's another laundering episode to come. Treason is the act of betraying one's country. High treason is the attempted overthrow of the government. It does not matter if the people committing the act of treason are in the civilian population, military, or government agencies. Treason is an action against the government, a body that represents the people. The people are the victims of the treasonous action. Is it treason to murder Americans or to allow their deaths because it serves a political agenda? Is it treason to habitually lie to the American people to protect personal careers? Is it treason to use the IRS, EPA, FDA, NSA, HSA as weapons to gain political office? How is that any different from an armed military coup? Is it treason to conduct weapons deals with the enemy? Is it treason to control and threaten the news media? Is it treason to negotiate with terrorists or to release prisoners to appease terrorist nations? Is it treason to send your bagman to the protection of a foreign nation? Remember, Lerner leaked the NSA taps. Snowden only confirmed it, yet he is getting all the legal venom. And who does it help? The administration. Is it treason to leverage the murder of a foreign ambassador to subvert the U.S. Constitution? Was it coincidence children were being shot in schools just before a crucial gun ban bill was to be voted on? A means to an end should be considered treason. Incompetence is being used as the primary laundering conduit to make all these scandals unaccountable or untraceable. Villains are inserted to reinforce the conduit by distracting the investigators and media outlets. The only remaining question is, how many Nixon-level scandals does it take to impeach a Democrat?